Trump bans anti-American diversity training. That's the headline that I woke up to, and I was just blown away. I'm like, what? Seriously, what is going on in the White House? And then I had to remember who I was dealing with, and when I say that, I'm talking about the media. I had to actually go and read the articles. And in fact, I said, I can't even trust these articles. Let me actually pull up the letter that was issued from, I'll tell you who it's from. I believe this guy's name is Vought. So here is the letter, okay? This letter went out September 4th, yesterday, and it is... we're going to read it because we got to know. Is that what President Trump said? I guess a garbage truck is driving down the street. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. It has come to the president's attention that executive branch agencies have spent millions of taxpayer dollars on date training government workers to believe divisive anti-American propaganda. Didn't I just say that Trump bans anti-American diversity training? See, when I heard diversity training, you know what I thought about? I thought about being in corporate America. You have the meeting, you go down, and the HR director is up there and they're telling you, hey, this is an Asian person. Maybe you shouldn't say that. This is an Indian person. Maybe they don't like it if you do this. This is a person from, diversity training. That's not what this is. For example, according to press reports, employees across the executive branch have been required to attend trainings where they are told that virtually all white people contribute to racism, and where they are required to say that they benefit from racism. According to press reports, in some cases, these trainings have further claimed that there is racism embedded in the belief that America is the land of opportunity, or the belief that the most qualified person should receive a job. Seems fair. These types of trainings not only run counter to the fundamental beliefs for which our nation has stood since its inception, but they also engender division and resentment within the federal workforce. I actually agree with this. I 100% agree that based on the training that is described here, hell, I'll even say regular diversity training might harbor some type of resentment. If I'm somebody who doesn't feel like my group is being represented in these trainings and I'm having to come away from my office to work on, to sit in this seminar, I'm not really benefiting anything from this. I'm not 6 years old, so there's not really much for me to learn. Either I care or I don't. And, I'm just going to try to do my job, keep my head down, and continue going about my life. I'm not really trying to stir the pot. This is where I get paid. So what the average person is going to get from a typical diversity training session? Not really much. So I can totally understand the divisive environment, especially given what is described in this particular article. Now, the president has directed me, whatever this Vought guy, I'm not sure what his title is, has directed me to ensure that federal agencies cease and desist from using taxpayer dollars to fund these divisive, un-American propaganda training sessions. Accordingly to that end, the Office of Management and Budget will shortly issue more detailed guidance on implementing the president's directive. In the meantime, all agencies are directed to begin identifying all contracts or other agency spending related to any training on critical race theory, white privilege, or any other training or propaganda effort that teaches or suggests either that the United States is inherently racist or evil country, or two, that any race or ethnicity is inherently racist or evil. That actually is pretty specific. And, one of the things that I often talk about or often complain about even is that many politicians, they're not really specific. They say vague things. They give you these platitudes, but they won't say things because they're afraid to, they don't political, they're trying to be politically expedient. They're not trying to risk making someone upset. They don't want to lose voters. They don't care. So they're trying to toe the line. This is pretty clear cut what this is actually suggesting. This is not getting rid of diversity training as we traditionally know it. This is actually specifically talking about critical race theory, which is interesting. It's not something I'm actually very familiar with. I'm going to give you that definition in just a second. In addition, all agencies should begin to identify all available avenues within the law to cancel any such contracts or to divert federal dollars away from these un-American propaganda training sessions. The president and his administration are fully committed to the fair and equal treatment of all people in the United States, individuals in the United States. The president has a proven track record of standing for those whose voice has long been ignored, I don't know about all that, and who have failed to benefit from all our country has to offer, and he intends to continue to support all American, regardless of race, religion, creed. The divisive, false, and demeaning propaganda of the critical race theory movement is contrary to what we stand for as Americans and should have no place in the federal government. Again, when I read the headline, I was like, yo, that's crazy. But then after reading the actual letter, I see that he's talking specifically about critical race theory, which is not typical diversity training. And then this is really only applying to federal employees. So this is very specific, and I understand his intention. Timing's not the best. I often wonder what election is he trying to win? Is he aware that he's in a race? Does he understand that like being a divisive is not the best thing that he could be doing right now? I don't know. I'm not quite sure if he's trying to win. But he also put out I don't know if it was a statement. He labeled. Give me 1 second, because I don't want to misquote this. I don't want to say it wrong, because I think this went out today as well. Well, that was actually yesterday. So President Trump, his administration is labeling white supremacists as the most persistent and lethal threat to the U.S. This is not something that's new, but I mean, timing is good. You know, I mean, you get rid of diversity training, or that's the headline, but you also follow that up with having DHS to label white supremacists as the most persistent and lethal threat to the U.S. report, to the U.S. So, you know, just good timing. Again, he's just reaffirming that which has already been done before, but good cover. And again, if I wasn't going to make this video, but then I had to read the letter, and then I realized that this is that slander where you guys are just taking things and you're manipulating it. He's not really getting rid of, he's getting rid of a specific type of training. So what is CRT, critical race theory? What actually does that, or where does that come from? I'm going to give you the definition. Give me 1 second. Where is that? Okay, maybe I'm not going to give you the definition. It's fine. We got a video. We got Tucker Carlson from last night, September 1st. Oh, here's what I want to say. So when he says he became aware of this, right, there's been research going on typical diversity training programs for a while. So, and the research has indicated that they're not really successful. They don't really change the outcomes for people who are traditionally marginalized or anything like that. There's no real change. There is evidence that suggests that they might create tension in the workplace. So that actually is fairly accurate. I think my biggest issue with this, one, the media spin, but two, when he says he became aware of this, he became aware of this as a few days ago when this gentleman, what is his name? Christopher Rufo. Yeah, he's a research fellow at the Diversity Institute. He was on Tucker Carlson, I guess, on September 1st. He laid out some things. Donald Trump's favorite network. Obviously, he saw this report and decided to get to work. And that's why I say, man, you get in close proximity with Donald Trump. Who knows what could happen in your life? This guy's probably going to be on staff in a few days. Let's roll the clip. It's about 3 minutes long. But it's going to give you, it's going to provide context. What did the president hear that caused him to respond?
Unleashed that showed the kind of depth of this critical race theory, a cult.
Sorry, let me go back to 3 minutes.
So today we've asked, unified by our equality under the law. So today we've asked Chris Rufo to walk us through some of what is happening here. You should know the details. Rufo is a research fellow at the Discovery Institute as well as a contributing editor at City Journal, and he joins us now. Chris Rufo, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much. You know, Tucker, this is something I've been investigating for the last 6 months, and It's absolutely astonishing how critical race theory has pervaded every institution in the federal government. And what I've discovered is that critical race theory has become, in essence, the default ideology of the federal bureaucracy and is now being weaponized against the American people. I'd like to share three investigations that I've unleashed that show the kind of depth of this critical race theory, cult indoctrination, and the danger and destruction it can wreak. First, the Treasury Department. I broke the story on the Treasury Department, which held a seminar earlier this year from a man named Howard Ross, a diversity trainer who has billed the federal government more than $5 million over the past 15 years, conducting seminars on critical race theory. And he told Treasury employees essentially that America...
First, let's not kid ourselves, okay? There's no coincidence that while President Trump is promoting his law and order message, he's clearly playing to this race thing with the statements about people coming to the suburbs and safety and thugs. You know what he does. You know, he's playing to the base. Like, I'm not going to be that naive. Clearly, there is that component to this because he is very aware that the federal government is wasting all types of money, obviously. Yes, just yesterday he said he's got $300 billion that he can send out for stimulus money. Where has that been all of this time? But, we've got it. We can send it out. All we need is the House to go ahead and approve it. So there's government waste all over the place. So this guy said that he's found some training firm that's been billing the government like $15 million, dropping the bucket in the larger scheme of things. But he heard money. He responded. So government waste, yeah, that's kind of a problem, but that's our system.
America was a fundamentally white supremacist country, and I quote, virtually all white people uphold the system of racism and white superiority, and was essentially denouncing the country and asking white employees at the Treasury Department and affiliated organizations to accept their white privilege, accept their white racial superiority, and accept essentially all of the baggage that comes with this reducible essence of whiteness. Second,
that's a lot. That's, again, very specific. That's not diversity training. I don't know really what that is. It sounds like a psychology class. It sounds like something that maybe you want to investigate if you're trying to learn about a specific group of people. Maybe you're learning about a group of people in a country that you're going to go move to or something like that. All right, that doesn't sound like this is how you do your job effectively. That sounds a little bit beyond being culturally sensitive. I don't think that this program is going to eliminate or what he's wanting to get rid of here is going to remove programs regarding simple interactions between two coworkers. I don't think that would apply. It doesn't seem like it would make sense to. He was, again, very specific, stating that he wants to eliminate programs related to this. This is divisive. I would be kind of irritated. I think I would feel like I'm in a more hostile environment if I was at work, I got pulled into a meeting, and then I had to do this with my superiors, and then we walked out. That would be like super awkward because, wow.
This is not by any means limited to the Treasury Department. Critical race theory has actually now infiltrated our criminal justice system. Just this week, I released a story that the FBI is now holding weekly seminars on intersectionality, which is a hard left academic theory that reduces people to a network of racial, gender, and sexual orientation identities that intersect in complex ways and determine whether you are an oppressor or oppressed. Obviously, with the white straight male, such as FBI Director Christopher Rufo, being at the top of this pyramid of evil.
I'm sure there's some painting going on there. He says Department of Justice. Look, I 100% think that people who are in certain positions of power need to understand the particular needs of a different community that they're serving. I think this is what we talk about when we talk about police shootings and not knowing the community. And you can't just be somebody who drives around and you're policing a community, but you don't know the community. Like, I think there's definitely a place for that. But I will say, I actually think that's something that needs to happen a lot earlier in life. I think it's hard to talk to an adult and tell them, hey, welcome to the community. Now you need to understand these people. And the only way they're really going to get to do that is by actually being a part of that community, actually being of those people, actually having those friends. Like when we say humanity, like you have to humanize people, you know, and if that hasn't happened in your life, then you're never going to treat other people as anything other than other. Like we calling they're others, they're not us. So I understand why you would want to get rid of this in government. This seems, again, it seems a little extreme. I would like to know specifically if this is going to completely eradicate all such programs, because I think diversity training is something that's needed, but at the same time, I think it's something that's needed at an earlier point in life. I think if you haven't had experiences with people who are outside of your general sphere, but at a certain point, you know, then you're just never going to have it. Typically, people have this, you know, high school, depending on where you go to school, college. If you go to a diverse college, if you're in the military, you have experience where you work with others. But after that, you know what I mean, you're probably not going to be in too many scenarios where you're going to have friends who are just radically different from you, because you're not really exposed to them. I mean, we typically stay to people who are those who are closest around us. And if you're not in an environment that's opposite of you, you're just going to be limited to what you know. So I understand the need for diversity training. Again, this does not really specifically sound like that, but at the same time, I am slightly concerned because this guy does seem like he's painting quite colorfully, but it says that there's going to be further information coming from the administration that will be coming shortly, but I'm not going to kid myself into thinking that the timing of this is not oddly specific. I don't know why. I don't think this is good election strategy. I don't think if you're trying to get votes, this is the best thing to do, but especially when you're concerned about the media narrative, because they're going to have a field day with this. We'll see.
And third, this is a major story. Critical race theory is now infiltrating into our scientific establishment. A few weeks ago, I released a story that critical race theorists at the Sandia National Laboratories, which creates our nuclear weapons arsenal, sent their white male executives on a 3-day re-education camp to deconstruct their white male culture and actually force them to write letters of apology to women and people of color. Whistleblowers within Sandia National Laboratories have now spoken out, but laboratory executives have dispatched counterintelligence teams to quickly erase their communications, silence and shut them down. And
I don't see what the benefit of that is to society. Again, I'm not naive. At a certain point in life, if you don't believe certain things, you're probably not going to believe them until you're personally affected, and no training session is going to make you feel like this. And I don't want there to be a more divisive, more hostile work environment for anybody. I think that something like, if you want training, if you want people to be more sensitive to other cultures, I think Andrew Yang had a fantastic idea of, I can't think of what his program was called, but it was something along the lines of where like high school students would go and they would visit different parts of the country. And I think when you have the experiences of seeing the way other people live and being, you know, among those people, and not just like looking at them on a TV screen and saying, oh, those people are so different from me, or you're looking at them on a map and you're just not understanding why people think the way they think. Everyone, we're all just people, man. We all generally want the same things. We want to prosper. We want to take care of our families. We want to be successful. We want to be healthy. We want to live well. Like, we don't want things that are different, no matter what your religion is, what your background is. And I don't see CRT getting us there per se. It seems more like a white guilt kind of thing. But it does seem not really productive. If you subscribe to that theory, that's a thing, but I don't want somebody writing a letter to me because they feel guilty. You know what I mean? I was conducting a series of interviews the other day, and I was talking to we're going to do a video about we're going to talk about opportunity zones. And one of the issues with opportunity zones specifically is that it allows people who have, big capital gains, they want to invest into a community, they get to gentrify the community, and that doesn't really do much for the people who are from there. It's just people who are already wealthy getting tax breaks, and that's not helping the community. That's not helping the people who are there. I mean, maybe you give somebody a job or something, but there's such a dissociation between that gap of wealth that there's no training program or no amount of Like, if you just don't get it, you don't get it. If you don't know those people, you just don't know those people. You know, you can cut a check, or you can, you know, do a training, or you can do any of those things, but there's not really going to be a real impact until you feel that that person is just like you, and that only comes through like actual interaction. This training, yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. And they get to go on a retreat. I want to go on a retreat. Send me on a retreat.
And this is really the bottom line. There are some great people in D.C., such as Senator Josh Hawley in Missouri, that are starting to push back. But conservatives need to wake up that this is an existential threat to the United States, and the bureaucracy, even under the Trump administration, is now being weaponized against core traditional American values. And I'd like to make it explicit. The President and the White House, it's within their authority and power to immediately issue an executive order abolishing critical race theory trainings from the federal government. And I call on the President to immediately issue this executive order and stamp out this destructive, divisive, pseudoscientific ideology at its root. And I think that it's something that he's denounced, this kind of Black Lives Matter and neo-Marxist rhetoric in place.
That's crazy. This man was on Fox News on September 1st, and 2 days later, you see the letter. That's crazy. No president should be able to be manipulated that easily. I mean, the guy made a good case, but who knows what kind of people he gets around, and he just has conversations like, you know, that sounds like a great idea. Let me do that. Come on, man, chill.
Places like Portland and Seattle, but it's time to take action and destroy it within his own administration.
The consequences of what you described are profound. I think we're seeing some of them now on our streets. But I want to get to the second example because it may be the most troubling of all, the Department of Justice. So the underlying idea behind our entire justice system is that all of us are treated equally under the laws of the United States. Your race, your gender, who you sleep with are irrelevant in the eyes of the law. How could the FBI, which is armed and empowered to uphold those laws, be disseminating lies like this, which are exactly contrary to their mission? I mean, how corrosive is that? How scary is that?
It's extremely corrosive, and what we're seeing is that the institutions of the federal government, the actual bureaucracies and agencies and this kind of permanent administrative state has really abandoned the core American principles of equality under the law, of judging individuals as individuals on their merits, and they're now adapting this radical left ideology of judging people from their group identity, and it's absolutely terrifying that the FBI, which has almost kind of plenary physical authority in the United States, would be adapting this ideology, and I think it's a red alert moment.
Okay, that's enough of that. So, yeah, I'm making this video to provide proper context because, again, if you look up Trump diversity training, that's the headline. Trump bans diversity training. This is where it came from. This is the originator. This Christopher Rufo. He's the guy who's done the research and put this into the president's mind. This is where he decided to go. Obviously, this is related to his campaign. I understand the motivation behind it. Millions of dollars are wasted every single day. No one has any problem with it. But at the same time, I don't think we are in a position currently where we need any more divisive in our government. And this does seem kind of like a waste. Not a waste because I don't see any value in it. It just seems like a waste because you're talking to the wrong people. Like, if you think you're going to make any type of major change in the way people think, it's not going to happen in any type of training situation. It's going to happen in those one-on-one interactions that people have at work that humanizes someone who's different than them. But feeling guilty is not gonna make somebody do anything. You know, I mean, I think that does definitely foster an environment of resentment and anger, and yeah, I can't imagine that being good for anybody. But yes, I'm providing context. Don't believe the hype. Donald Trump did not ban diversity training. He specifically outlined that he wanted to remove training related to critical race theory. Very specific, anything that is determined to be divisive. Now, we'll have to see where this goes. If down the line they do get rid of regular diversity training where people simply talk about, different cultural sensitivities and things like that, then that's a completely different issue. Is this related to the race? Yeah, absolutely. Is he playing to his base? Is he playing the politics of the day? Sure. But at the same time, he also he also just today again decided to have DHS label white supremacists as the most persistent and lethal threat to the U.S. So that's the headline. Take it with a big grain of salt and understand that, the media, I meant to include this in yesterday's video. The media they're definitely playing on the emotions of the people. They are definitely manipulating these narratives. They're not making it any better. I admonished Marjorie Greene for her campaign ad, her suggestive campaign ad, or it was not a campaign ad. We'll say it's a meme of her alongside the squad with a semi-automatic rifle, insinuating she's the squad's worst nightmare. I thought that was irresponsible, and I think that this is just feeding into that same narrative. I think we shouldn't be doing these sorts of things at this particular time, but at the same time, yeah, you want to get rid of this. Seems like a waste of money. For real, I'm keeping it a buck. So with that said, I appreciate you guys for coming through. I'm going to probably come back out here a little bit later on. If you guys like this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next one. I'm always going to keep it real. I'm not going to lie. I almost got caught up in the headline. They almost got me. With the fake news, but this is not really what it is. So if you see a headline, always be skeptical. I mean, President Trump, if nothing, he has brought us the idea that the news is fake, that they manipulate everything, and they have a narrative that they're trying to push. And this is just another example of that. Just tell the truth. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, subscribe for more.